Mike, we are in this entrepreneurial field. I mean, it's not shortage of information talk about productivity, right?
Right. Yep.
I think we all we are in this field long enough, we kind of also figure it's not everything what out there, what they teach works for each single one of us. So I'm curious. I just want to ask you, what is the real productivity mean for you?
So it's funny because a lot of people, and I mean, as somebody who's studied productivity for the better part of a decade now, I mean, most people, when you first get into it, you're thinking, oh, it's about being efficient or it's about being effective. And that's a part of it. But I think that comes later. I think that productivity isn't about getting as much done as possible either. It's about intention. I believe productivity is about the marriage of intention. So what do you intend to do? And then how are you going to pay attention to it? So productivity to me is about intention plus attention, because attention management, that's a very personal thing, right? I mean, you can look at all the different articles out there, all the different books, and they're going to talk about time management, but time is such a big thing. And it's one of those things that we really struggle with because we feel we don't have control over our time necessarily, which is, again, a bit of a fallacy. We have more control over it than we think we do. And it's very quantifiable, right? Time equals minutes, equals seconds, equals hours, equals days, equals weeks. But attention is very subjective. How much attention are you going to pay to something? We live in a world where our attention is being taken away from the things we really should be focusing on to other things that maybe we shouldn't be. I was reading an interesting article by Jason Kotke at kotke.org, and it was relating to what Oliver Berkman wrote about the idea of reading your news later. Like, so for example, instead of keeping up with the news cycle the day that it happens, check in 2 to 3 days later, because your reaction time, your attention is going to be a little bit more measured. You're not going to be as reactive. You're going to have some time to kind of process it. Because the other thing about productivity is when you think about intention and attention, a lot of that requires, conversely, slowing down, taking time to sit with something and then making the right decision, as opposed to just going forward without having a plan in place. So I think no matter what philosophy, no matter what app, especially no matter what app you use, I think it's about what are my intentions. So if your intention is to, build a thriving business, and that's a big project, but let's say your intention is to run a great webinar. Okay, how am I going to pay attention to that intention? And then everything kind of funnels towards that. So don't think about productivity as being efficient. Being efficient about the wrong things is not productive. Being effective about the wrong things isn't productive. But being intentional with what you're doing and then paying attention to those intentions, I think that's where the real productivity lies.
Whoa. I think we're already in a real podcast right now. Because
it's a bit of a shock to the system. Like when I talk about productivity, it's like, wait a minute, wow. My goal is to shake you up a little bit and change your mindset a bit about it, because a lot of people don't think about it that way. They think about it as checking off as many boxes as possible. So no, my goal when I talk about it is to kind of mess with your mindset a little bit and throw convention out the window a little bit, and also kind of shock the system. So that whoa is the reaction I'm looking for.
Awesome. So I'm happy that at least worth your time, I hope. I have a question for you, Mike. And this actually happened to myself, and recently also brought up in my community and also in Chris's community of the entrepreneurs, that somebody asked this question in the webinar, say, do you have those moments that you know exactly what you need to do? You need to get certain tasks done. You even know what to do, but you cannot bring yourself to do it.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Why? And if you have ever that, how you conquer it?
Okay, so it still happens. It happens to everybody all the time, because entrepreneurs especially, they have a lot of things that they want to do. Especially if you're good at capturing the things that you want to do, if you're putting them down in a to-do list, or you're putting down, or you're journaling them, and you're like, hey, you know what, I really want to write that book, and you keep writing that, but you don't actually make any progress on it. One of the ways I've found to combat that is to theme your time a little bit more, so to give your time more definition. So like I said earlier about that maintaining mode, so from 9 to 10 a.m., my brain doesn't go, and this is the problem, is we've got those two parts of our brain, right? We've got the amygdala, which is like the primitive part of our brain that only wants to do very little. It's all it's meant to do is keep us alive, right? I need to eat, I need to sleep. I need to, it's that fight or flight. It deals with a very primitive part of our, and then there's the prefrontal cortex. And if you've read Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit, you can learn a lot about this stuff as well. But the prefrontal cortex is the reason. It's like the higher level of reasoning. And so that's the part of your brain that knows, I should really be working on this. But the other part of your brain is so powerful, it goes, why? You know what? You'll get to it later. Let's just do this. Email. Because email, you get the quick dopamine hit, right? You get like the quick hit of dopamine every time you answer an email or send one. So you feel like you're making real progress. And you're making little bits, but you're not going to make the massive gains if you sit down and write 500 words towards your book, right? So I found one of the things you can do is not only do you have the benefits of this is if you theme your time, and I know Chris talks about scheduling every moment, like he's but I think there's a problem with getting too particular with that. If you're very specific with scheduling, then, so let's say you say check email from 9 to 10. For some people, that could be too specific, but you could say communication between 9 and 10, and it opens up a bit more. So then you have a few more varieties of choices. Maybe I'm going to get on the phone. Maybe I'm going to go into social media because that's communication. So you might need to broaden that a bit, right? Which is what I call mode-based work. So I would never really have, I don't really schedule like, hey, it's time for me to go into email. Instead, I would say, hey, maintaining mode, email falls into that. Social media falls into that. Musing mode, planning falls into that. Brainstorming, thinking, making. Holy crow, what could fall into making? A whole bunch of stuff. Writing, all that stuff. But that's the thing, that by having that predetermined time, and this is called horizontal theming. So from 2 to 4 p.m., when 2 o'clock comes, my brain goes, well, what am I going to do now? It's like, well, hold on, we're going into making mode. That's what we've decided. And we decided that months ago. Okay, well, what are we going to make then? And then my brain goes, well, I don't know. What's the monthly theme? What's our theme for this month? Oh, it's video. Okay, so what kind of videos can I make? And as I look at my to-do list, the making goes from being, like 300 tasks, let's say, down to 20. And then all of a sudden, so then the primitive part of my brain has less to argue with. It's saying, well, we already decided this. It always will try to find a way to make it work. It's not a foolproof system.
Yeah.
But instead of waking up in the morning, which is why I theme my days, like today is my optimization day. So when I wake up on Mondays, as we're recording this, I don't say to myself, what am I going to do today? The question is, what day is it? Which has a pretty clear answer. It's Monday. Okay, what does Monday mean? What have I defined Monday as? Oh, Monday is optimization day. So instead of seeing every task on my list, I can now look at everything that's tagged with optimization. And then if there's 40 of those, I could say, well, what kind of optimization am I going to do towards my monthly theme? Or if you're using like weekly sprints, which I do from time to time, the weekly sprints would override the monthly theme. But let's just say monthly theme. Oh, it's video. Okay, what kind of optimization am I going to do today around video? Well, I've only got 5 tasks. I'm going to update my TubeBuddy. I'm going to go into YouTube and make sure that I'm going to create a video that's going to be an advertisement for my YouTube channel. All of a sudden, it creates a funnel of focus. And that has been my biggest, that's been the biggest benefit, is by defining my day and theming my time. It's allowed me to not fall victim as much to that part of my brain that goes, do it later. I know I need, you've got these predetermined themes that kind of give you enough variation of choice, but not to the point where you're so limited. Like, let's say I run out. Yeah, like let's say I run out of optimization tasks for video today, right? Let's say I run out of those. Then I just funnel back out to optimization as a whole, right? So now all of a sudden I'm down. And then let's say my brain goes, yeah, but you're not feeling too well. Okay, let me look at all my low energy optimization tasks. And then all of a sudden it funnels. So I always have an argument for this part of your brain. And that's why. So then it eventually gives up. It will always, like it for example, I used to have audio and video on the same day because I wasn't doing a lot of video. And then I realized that I needed, with a video month coming up, I needed to create more, especially after going to conferences. And Chris was at those conferences too. I mean, the social media marketing world and all these conferences say video all day, every day. I'm like, I need to have more time dedicated to video. So I moved video to Tuesday. And now all of a sudden that's my focus on Tuesdays is video. And what's interesting is Tuesday used to be an administrative day, which is like just general administrative work. But I found that by just dedicating one day to it, I was doing a lot of low energy work on Tuesdays. So I came up with that maintaining mode strip that goes across all 7 days of the week. So you have to, again, this is about crafting. It's about, you have to it's not like set it and forget it. It's set it. It's testing. It's classic A/B kind of testing that you would do. Like, okay, is this working? Like, it's a lot of testing because that part of your brain will always go, I don't really want to do that, or I know we should do it, but because that part of your brain doesn't want to do hard work. The prefrontal cortex definitely does. It loves that it wants to thrive, whereas the other part just wants to survive, right? Like, that's all it's designed to do. So if you can do that, and here's the best part. Again, remember I told you that if you don't have to theme every day of the week. It's like when people say to me, when they're against daily theming, they say, oh, there's no way I could theme my days. I do like a classic pattern break. I'm like, hey, well, when do you do your laundry? Like, oh, normally on Saturdays. Well, why Saturdays? Well, the kids are home. I'm like, so do you do a lot of household, like a lot of chores on Saturday? Yeah, we do like all the, so you would say that Saturday is the day where you do a lot of household stuff, like a lot of home maintenance and stuff. Yeah, and is the family involved? Yeah. So it could be like even a family day, right? Yeah. So what you're saying is Saturday is a family day. And they're like, yeah, oh. I'm like, yeah, you're probably already doing it to a degree. It's kind of like when people say they can't journal. I'm like, are you on Facebook? Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Like, so you're on Facebook. And you're saying that you don't have time to journal. Well, yeah, because I'm like, do you realize that on Facebook you are journaling for the entire world? And in fact, wouldn't it be better for some of the thoughts you're putting on Facebook to maybe go inside a journal?
That's very good, Mike.
Right?
A lot of those things shouldn't be in the Facebook.
Right. So it's about, and that's the thing is like when I said like shock the system or mess with people's mindsets, it's like they don't, because we're so used to doing things the way that they used to be done, or the way we think that there's only one way to do it, or there's a limited amount of ways. You have more time than you think. Lao Tzu has this great quote: time is a man-made construct. Saying I don't have time is like saying I don't want to. That's literally so when you say I don't have time to journal, I can't theme my days, that's confirmation bias showing up again and again, which is part of that primitive part of your brain, because it knows that that's an enemy. So again, like, theme one day of the week, theme a block of time. Theme a month. Start there instead of picking a New Year's resolution that could fail by the middle of February, which is what happens to most people. Pick 12 monthly themes. If you want to, I don't know what monthly themes to pick 12 bad habits that you'd like to kick. Or look at the 13 virtues of Benjamin Franklin and go, okay, January is temperance. February is charity. Like, you could do, like, there's ways. So instead of spending time looking for the latest productivity tricks online, say, okay, I'm going to theme my months. What are the best things? Like, sit with yourself and go, hey, you know what? I want to build better relationships. What month can I focus on that? Hey, I want to make sure that I've got my video up and running. Like, if by giving April my focus on video for 30 days, I'm going to like breathe new life into my YouTube channel. Right? So it's not, when people say, when they get caught up, and you will, because we're human, if you have this weapon of theming your time and mode-based work in your arsenal, you're going to be able to fight off that where it says, oh, I know I should be doing this right now, but I really feel sick. Well, then let's just do the stuff that we've decided that we can do when we're sick, because then you still have control. Then you're still using logic and reason instead of letting emotion guide you, right? Because we all know that emotional decisions in business aren't always the best decisions to make.
And if you like this video and this episode, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share with others so more crisis center leaders have the opportunity to consume this type of valuable content. Before I go, I just want to remind you that you can click on the screen to go to the next business growth videos, and I will see you in the next episode.